out of the gutter and back from the dead, the Lumia 950 XL. You might recall that I took a look at the Lumia 930 and 920 about a year ago. You might want to call me the last Windows Phone adopter, part of the few. Like you, like many, I dismissed the Windows mobile platform for Android. That was, of course, until I actually gave it a try, and wow! Nokia, Microsoft sure did get a lot right. And that's where I'm at now. The Lumia 950 XL. Sitting right here, right in front of me, in my hand. The perfect phone? Let's not get too ahead of ourselves just yet. Look, I don't get to do a lot of phone reviews, so just to give you a little bit of perspective, I'm going to be using my Lumia 930 as well as my experience with the Huawei Google Nexus 6P as a reference. Price-wise, here in Finland and around the world, the price is dropping. No one wants to be part of the ecosystem that even Microsoft is moving away from. The price is good. You can find the 950 XL on the market right now as low as 50 euros, all the way up to 150. Mine, I picked it up for 70 euros plus shipping. Not bad, I don't think. And what does that get you? One fantastic 5.7-inch AMOLED screen protected by that Gorilla Glass 4. The colors are vibrant, they pop, it's sharp. Has that cool glance feature that, well, lets you take a quick glance at your clock and notifications. You do have to remember that being an OLED screen, only the pixels that are lit are powered. So a dim clock that takes a small portion of the screen is going to be very battery friendly. What else do we have on this display? Your front-facing camera, of course. Nothing special there. Good enough for a conversation at around 5 megapixels, but it's definitely not your professional selfie cam. So if that matters to you, just be aware. What we have interesting here is the iris scan. It's neat, it works, but if you wear glasses, forget it. Yes, it does work with your glasses on, but detection is iffy, often slow in this circumstance. But I did find that if I took my glasses off, it worked nearly every time quickly and reliably. So let's move off from the screen and on to the side. All your buttons are on the right. Rather than having a volume rocker like in the past, Microsoft has decided to place a power button smack dab in the middle of those volume buttons. You'll get used to it. Personally, I prefer the old rocker. Further down is your dedicated camera button. A quick press to open the camera. And just like a real camera, you press halfway down to focus and all the way down to capture a photo. And talking about cameras, this is the reason you got this phone. This is the reason I got this phone. At this price, you're going to be hard pressed to find something anywhere near as good. And yeah, over the last 3 years, smartphone camera tech has improved, and if you want the best bang for the buck on the used market, this is it. Personally, I didn't think it'd get that much better over the Lumia 930. I was wrong. That larger aperture and improved tech delivers stellar photography. Why don't we just let the camera speak for itself? Take a look. It performs much better in night shots than the previous 930, and this unique RGB flash means your flash adjusts its output color to match the environment, rather than being tarnished by a strong, out-of-place white flash. It's good, it's nice. Now the difference in video capture. Yes, it's there. It's a little sharper. Maybe it's just me, feels a little bit more stable, but it's not that drastic over the 930. That said, it's there, and nonetheless, optical image stabilization is definitely nice to have and will make your footage very smooth. Now the downside with the 950 is that it does not have a laser focus, for example like the Nexus 6P. This means that low lighting or a low lit subject might take a little longer to focus. That said, I haven't ran into many issues with it, but even if you do, quick swipe to the left and you get a plethora of manual controls. Everything from ISO adjustment to manual focus and shutter speed. A ton of control at your fingertips that can be readily adjusted in real time while capturing video footage. In part, this is where the camera shines. This is why you buy this phone, especially if, like me, you can't be dropping the ground on the latest flagship. It's a good camera. Moving on, audio capture is also pretty great. The audio for this entire video was recorded on the 950 XL. Incredibly clear. on par with many dedicated microphones. For me, it's likely what I'll be using to record my voice for the foreseeable future. Now for the back of the phone, a polycarbonate casing. It feels fine to me, nice and solid, but definitely not the same premium feel we might be used to with the 930. But I'm not complaining. This time around we have a removable cover, and seeing as this is likely the last Lumia we'll be seeing for quite a while, I welcome the fact. A removable battery, what courage! As batteries don't last forever, it's good to know that we can just replace it when it wears out. Behind the battery is the nano SIM slot, nothing special. And below the battery, what's this? Expandable storage. In the era of cloud computing, this has become less and less important, but it's definitely nice to have. Yet, as happy as I am with the hardware, I do have one complaint. The loudspeaker. Yeah, it's there. Yeah, it's loud. It's louder than the 930. It's just bad. Very tinny sounding. We went from the old 920 that had very loud, clear, dual speakers, then over to the 930 that went down to a single, quieter, but still a decent speaker, to, well, this. And we can drop that down the center. And also it's good to put it on the head. And yeah, it works. It's just not good. Whatever you call them. And we want to get just a little bit of oil. But that's a minor complaint. Not a big problem for me. So we're done talking about hardware and we'll take a look at that operating system. This is what got me hooked. Tiles that are incredibly intuitive with quick information displayed on each tile, meaning that you spend less time actually digging into the apps. The OS itself is a breeze, consistently smooth, easy to navigate, and in my opinion what was and what is the most elegant designed user interface of the three. This is not a desktop designed to fit in your hand. No, this is mobile first. Things you don't think about. Menu, text boxes, all at the bottom so you're not stretching your thumb all the way to reach the top of the screen. Notifications, sorted and easy to bring up, easy to access and to work with, settings menus, a common, consistent user interface with a system-wide customizable color scheme. It just works. Any bugginess the 950 was released with by now is gone, stable in and throughout. So what's the problem, if any? Well, for me, none. But for you, the typical user, it's going to be the app gap, which is only getting worse as developers have quickly left the platform. Don't expect any more updates. Don't expect any new apps. You have your Facebook, your Messenger, your WhatsApp, and whatnot, but it's lacking. And I'm not gonna kid you, it's not all there. Cortana as a personal digital assistant works very well. It's not something I use a lot, but when I use it, I haven't had any complaints.
The forecast shows partly sunny skies with a low of 39, with a slight chance of rain.
It also has a feature called Hey Cortana, so you can just yell the words Hey Cortana and it will listen to you. I ended up turning this feature off simply because it does mention that it uses more battery, and it's not something I was using a lot. And in any case, if you hold down the search button, it pops right up. So that's not a big inconvenience for me, and that's what I've decided to do. Holding your Windows key brings you down into reachability mode. Because of the way the OS is designed, you don't actually end up using this a lot. And then if you hit the back button, you'll have your typical application switching screen there. So that's kind of the majority of the features there. And with all that said, I ended up finding that I don't really use that many apps. I still own a desktop, and this phone is really the in-between, and it does just about everything I need it to do. Now, of course, if WhatsApp or Skype and so on, if they completely leave the platform and the software stops working, I'll be without a lot of communication. I rely on data to communicate. I can't remember the last time I actually made a phone call using a normal phone application or a text message through SMS. And I can say the same thing about at least my circle of friends. We're all on data. So who knows? But for now it works. and we're still seeing the occasional update. It's also important to remember, a lot of apps that you use on your phones nowadays, they are not functionally that different from mobile websites. And if you want to know my opinion, a lot of apps are really kind of pointless. But yeah, of course, that's where I have to say, this is the perfect phone for me. It's my daily driver, but I cannot reasonably recommend it to anybody unless you really understand what you're jumping into. And I hate to say that. For a phone that I love and I'm using every day, I don't recommend it. I don't recommend you, the viewer watching, to actually get into it unless you really know what you're jumping into, and hopefully this video helps you know what you're jumping into. The good thing is Microsoft has incredible support cycles, and they're still issuing bug fixes and security updates until at the very least the end of 2019. And that's great. You gotta remember, Microsoft has always packed a powerful punch when swimming in unfamiliar territory. The 950 XL is no exception. Mobile is competitive, and who knows if they're ever gonna come back. I always figured if they ever came back, it would have to be a computer that also happens to be a phone, instead of a phone that sort of acts like a computer. Now, of course, I know a computer is a phone and a phone is a computer, but you know what I mean. The desktop versus the mobile experience. Speaking of which, the 950 and the 950 XL come with it Continuum, and it sounds cool, but I don't have the dock to put it to the test. The idea was that you could take your 950, dock it, and it'll act like a desktop. But hey, maybe we'll do that another time. But at this point, the conclusion, it's a good phone with one absolutely amazing camera, and also the end of a legacy, the end of the Windows Phone. As for you guys, tell me what you think. Do you think there'll ever be space again for a third in this mobile space that we have? What opinions did you have about the Windows mobile platform? What were its flaws, its advantages? Just leave a comment below and do have a good day.